All right, welcome to another expert edition chat thing on Slurve PGA, analyzing the field. My name is Jeff Ulrich. Find me on Twitter at the Fantasy Grind. I'm here as always with Steve from Fantasy Golf Metrics at FG Metrics, FGmetrics.com, fantasygolfmetrics.com. Definitely check that out after. But we're here to talk about the Wyndham Championship this week, and maybe we'll have a little recap of what happened last week. How was your week, Steve?
It was okay. None of those bets really panned out. I mean, a couple of the guys that I should have bet maybe top 10, I only bet like first round leader just to have some action. That was the only mistake I think I made. Obviously, I rolled with Ben Martin, first round leader, just to throw it in there. I probably should have just taken them each way, like I believe you did. So, that. All in all, I mean, in terms of like our rankings, our players, I mean, we had Ryan Moore ranked third, so. It was an all-around okay week. I mean, a couple of guys you and I spotlighted, looked strong early, maybe didn't close, but other than that, it wasn't our best week, wasn't our worst week, I'd say.
Yeah, the Olympics was weird. I mean, my GPP lineups, they actually ended up basically breaking even without having any Rose or any Stenson. So, obviously I was on some of the red players, but I just didn't have those big two, so there's zero chance with big cash. But kind of played out like the Open Championship where you had to have those big two. And then the John Deere, yeah, I mean, obviously I wish Ben Martin had won. That would have made betting-wise a nice week. I didn't really play much of the John Deere DFS-wise, so
yeah, I was on that.
Tournaments were small. Yeah.
Bobby had, a good amount of exposure to Rose actually, so he did well on the 300. He actually.
Oh, nice.
If it was a cut event, he probably would have cleaned up.
Yeah,
A lot of guys backdoored it, and then I think helped. So he ended up, making a little bit of money. But I mean, again, that's why it's always so tough in those no cut events to really know what's going to happen. When you have someone like Kuchar, Fowler, those guys, they ended up coming through in the end for those guys.
Yeah, completely. I mean, yeah, those things are so volatile, like those no-cut events. I mean, like I said, I thought I was going to have, like, zero cashes. I ended up breaking even on Sunday because I had some exposure to guys who went, like, 5 under. So just a bunch of backdoor top 20s and stuff. But anyways, I mean, this week's going to be interesting. There's a lot of guys, actually, at the John Deere who people thought would play well and didn't, and they're still in the field this week. So it's kind of going to be interesting. I think there's some interesting plays. I think this course in general plays a lot like you saw last week. It's a par 70 instead of a par 71, so there's one less par 5. But the scores are usually around -17, -18. It's a fairly easy course, Bermuda greens. Just another event. I think it should be a good one. I mean, you'll see a lot of scoring, and it doesn't favor bombers or anything like that. So I think everyone in the field is kind of in play in a way.
Yeah, one of our key stats this week was driving accuracy, not driving distance. So I can definitely agree with what you're saying there. I mean, that and the approach. I mean, it seems to be one of those places where a good ball striker that can really keep accurate is going to reward most players instead of that bombing off the tee and just trying to score.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I know accuracy. This is one of the few courses where I'll actually look at driving accuracy off the tee.
Yeah.
It just does seem to show up. I mean, just even like if you look at the past winners for the week, they've all ranked well in driving accuracy for the week. Even I think Patrick Reed, I was reading somewhere, Patrick Reed, when he won, had the worst ranking for driving accuracy for the week, and he was 16th in the field the year he won. And obviously, Patrick Reed makes up for that always with his elite scrambling. But most players here just need to hit the fairways. So, that takes us, I guess, to the top of the field. I mean, you have Patrick Reed, you have Ricky Fowler, and you have Hideki. Off the tee, I mean, the most consistent player is Matsuyama. So, in a way, I kind of like him out of those three. I'm always a sucker to roster Ricky Fowler. I'm sure he'll find a way onto some of my lineups. I really just don't like the price on Patrick Reed this week, though. I mean, it just seems absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it's a negative P gap for us. I mean, 12-2. He's still ranked up there overall. I mean, we have him third in our rankings, so he's showing up there. But the value rank is 143. Which is basically something that we use to say, how often is this person achieving the necessary amount of points to cash or win a GPP tournament, and 143 is bottom of the barrel. I mean, it's not weird that a high price guy is there, but usually you're looking for something maybe more in the middle to kind of make you feel better about it. So
yeah. I mean, for Patrick Reed to pay off, he really has to go like Jordan Spieth this week. Like he's got to go Jordan Spieth at Colonial basically. So he can do it. I mean, it's not like I think Patrick Reed is a horrible player and he's like should never be highly ranked. But I just look at the rest of the players in this field. I mean, Snedeker at 9,800, Jimmy Walker coming off the big win at only 10K, Ryan Moore even at 10,600. All those players look fairly comparable to Reed this week. He could even go lower and talk about like a guy like Kevin Na. It's just hard for me to get behind Patrick Reed. Like I kind of said in my write-up this week, the only reason I think about Reed this week is as like a swerve GPP play, but I'm not sure if people will just totally avoid him or not. I mean, he had a pretty good end to the Olympics, so but for me, it's just interesting seeing him up there because when I first looked at the prices, I didn't really pay attention, but then when I saw how expensive he actually was, it just kind of I'm like, why is he that expensive? So. Is there anyone in the top kind of 10 that really sticks out for you guys? I know I saw you tweeting about Webb Simpson earlier.
Yeah, I mean he's our number one ranked guy. I mean it is what it is. He's made 5 of 6 cuts. He's first in the field in strokes gained tee to green over the last 12 weeks. Second on tour actually. I think what's more obvious is the course history. 6 of 7 cuts, averaging 93.1 DraftKings points. The only person with a higher average is Freddie Jacobsen. So it just seems to all out. I mean, the key stats you have him third, recent form fifth, course history second. So, John Rahm would probably have passed him if he had a little course history to give him a little extra boost, to be honest, because he's first in key stats and third in recent form. So, he just edged him out for the most part. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's more like a third, like a second tier price that you got. He's up there in our first class. Mm-hmm. But basically, the first class for us is all the 10,000 and up guys, with the exception of Walker and Fowler. And actually, Matsuyama is actually not in there too, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I guess Matsuyama more just like putting issues or something, or just recent form. Recent form, I guess.
It's an overall form. I mean, what I will say it's interesting about Matsuyama is, we have a little formula that we use for Trend Score, and he is ranked first in Trend Score because what that looks at is obviously the finishes over the past 12 weeks, but also the key stats and how they've trended. He's ranked first. I mean, if you look at the recent finishes, obviously he had a really strong finish at PGA, but if you look at the way we look at that is we look at like kind of segments. So there's 12 weeks. The first segment is the first 4 weeks, then it's the middle 4 weeks, then it's the last 4 weeks, and we kind of look at how they performed in those individual quadrants or thirds. So yeah, obviously Memorial and U.S. Open crushed, a little better at the Bridgestone, still miss at the Open, and then in this last quadrant the only thing you have is the PGA. So it makes sense to me why he's showing up there. So it's kind of the only maybe silver lining for Matsuyama in terms of form is that it's technically improved, but yeah.
Do you think a lot of people are going to be on Jim Furyk this week? Do you think he's just going to be super popular because of what he did the last time he went out? I'm kind of getting that feeling. I don't know.
I mean, I haven't heard it, but it would surprise me if he's not like 20% only.
At least 20%.
Yeah, because it was there's how well he's played recently, but in his one start here, he had 93.5 DraftKings points. That means he finished where. So he finished. His only start here was in 2011. He finished 9th. So he has that going for him. It's not like he's never played here before. Obviously playing really well. He's made 8 straight cuts after the first month. He kind of was iffy, but he's looking as strong as anyone. I think he's probably the go-to. People will probably jump off of Ryan Moore because there's always the dip after the win. I mean, Rahm is probably the other guy that. It wouldn't surprise me if Rahm is the highest owned player this week.
Yeah, I've heard people whispering Webb Simpson this week too, and I mean I don't disagree that Webb Simpson's played well. I think Webb Simpson from we're talking about betting in DFS. I'd much rather play him in DFS. Yeah. I don't like him to win. I feel like him and Bradley have just been so discounted and like handicapped by the putting issues still. And I know he's had years now, but I just feel like psychologically there's something there. I don't know. He is hitting it really well though. I mean, the tee to green game's obviously there. So, but even with that good tee to green game, we still haven't seen him. I guess he was sixth at Quicken, but he hasn't really competed outside of like one tournament. So, like for the win. So yeah, DFS wise, could definitely get behind Webb Simpson. I always say I don't really play him, but I don't hate it this week. Definitely on a course where he's like just dominated. So. John Rahm, I expect to still be popular. And Jim Furyk, one thing about Jim Furyk, I mean, he was second to Duffner at Oak Hill in 2003, which is Donald Ross. So there's definitely a little connection there. So
the thing with Webb is he, for his career, he is a better putter on Bermuda.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
that's the one. I mean, it's not like it wasn't a tremendous difference, but. He's averaging almost 10 DraftKings points better on Bermuda for one of the things that I noticed. So, and that's also, it's including, the win over at Olympic, which I believe is Bentgrass. So, even with that, the earnings, he's averaging about $30,000 more per event on Bermuda too. So, I'm just trying to check in on some of those things because when I looked at where he was ranked and then I looked at, where his putting is, the putting is still like 110th in the field or so over the last 12 weeks. So
yeah. I mean, he is what he is. Like if he figures the putting out this week, he definitely have a chance to win. But we'll see what happens with Webb. But moving down and kind of under that 10K range, I mean, I think this is where you'll find the kind of real value plays for the week for sure. Obviously. I kind of mentioned Snedeker off the top.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see he's got a nice course history here for sure. I mean, with the Ryder Cup coming up, it's going to be interesting to see what he does this week. I think both him and Furyk really need big weeks here, or just want to have big weeks regardless. I mean, obviously you could throw Fowler and Reed in there too, but I think Snedeker at 9,800. Just again, I kind of expect Snedeker to be underowned. I mean, I feel like this is the exact same situation as the Canadian Open, where he came in with a nice course history. He wasn't playing that badly, but no one used him because there was a few other players above him just getting more juice. I mean, I feel like you're going to get Brandt Snedeker at like 10% this week.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, especially if you look at what we do each week with the top 30 for form, stats, and course history. There's only 8 people in the top 30 of all 3 categories, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
So, he's 16th in recent form, 22nd in key stats, 27th in course history. So, and I definitely think at that price he's not going to be high on. If he was like low 9s, upper 8s for whatever reason, yeah, you'd probably have a lot more people on him. At 9,800, I don't think many people are going to be.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the biggest reasons is not only do you have Kevin Na down there at 9,100, but now you have Wesley Bryan, who people are just going to love now. I mean, obviously had a really good week at the John Deere Classic. He's kind of the hot new guy. He's like the new John Rahm, and he's cheaper too. So, yeah, I mean, just ownership-wise, I think Snedeker falls in a bit of a dead range. Just for GPPs, I think keep him in mind. There's a lot of guys up here I could make cases for. So it's not like I'm trying to say don't play one guy over the other. But I think ownership-wise, Snedeker, big GPPs. That is a guy you're going to get at like 10%, whereas Na, Bryan, I'd anticipate over 15%. I don't hate Kevin Na. Again, I think he can make a better DraftKings play than a bet. Just his win rate is awful. Obviously, 1 win in like 5 years, but he closed well at the John Deere Classic. His stats check out to me. He's good in proximity from some key distances this week. What do you think between him, Hanley, and Wesley Bryan? I mean, is there a way you're going there, or are you just avoiding all 3? Or
I mean, I think I personally like Na out of that group.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the recent form on him, I mean, he hasn't finished worse than 27th since the Memorial. So
yeah,
that's a while ago now. He's obviously playing extremely well. I get what you're saying about the win rate, and he's definitely a guy that you feel should have won more based on the position he's been in. But when you look at the field as a whole, there's only a small handful of guys with feel like they're winners anyway. So if there's going to be a spot where he can kind of come through like Kevin Na at the Wyndham, I feel a little better about it than I would, most other events.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I mean, it's really just like a betting versus DFS thing. I think at 9,100 he's a great DFS play.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to bet him at like 33 to 1 or whatever he's at. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
If you gave me like 50 or 60, sure. I can get
yeah, exactly right. So there's a lot of quality players in this field. I keep looking at it. I'm like Bill Haas is up there. Tyrrell Hatton and Cabrera Bello are over here. Hatton had a long plane ride over on Monday or Tuesday, so I don't know about that, but something to take note of. I'll probably be on Russell Henley this week. I mean, I do like the stats on Henley. Like his driving stats are really good this year. I think he's gonna be able to keep it in the fairway here. He was so close to winning the Travelers, and he played really well at the PGA Championship too. So I just wonder if we're finally going to see that consistent performance kind of streak from him that we've been waiting. That people like me have been waiting for all season. I mean, I think this is another great course for him. Tend to play well par 70s. Again, it's kind of like a GPP cash thing. Cash games, I'm definitely going Kevin Na over Russell Henley. But for GPPs, if I can get Russell Henley like 10% lesser owned, I'm in on him. I think he's trending in a really good direction.
Yeah, I mean that's at that price point, that is the opposite end of the spectrum for GPP and cash in my eyes too. I mean,
yeah.
Like you said with the key stats, we have him ranked 4th in the field in overall key stats and 31st in recent form. He's got no course history, but again, I think like you're saying, it probably suits him better than most other courses. So yeah, I mean we have him ranked 21st, so pretty far up there overall.
What am I doing? Here we go. Okay, so this is the range where we really get into the value, in my opinion, because you have Justin Thomas, who's coming off a good week. I mean, he makes a lot of birdies. He's been a little bit inconsistent, but I'm not sure about his. What's that?
Loves this place.
Yeah, I was gonna say he does love this place, doesn't he? Like does he have some kind of local connection or?
I think he made his first PGA Tour start here.
Okay.
I don't know what else it is, but I've just seen on social media with him that he has good vibes here. So I don't know what else it is more so. But I think he's played here most years. So. Okay.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I do kind of like him this week, and I think a lot of people gravitate to McGirt. I think Thomas is a guy I could get behind though. And then the other guy that value-wise, well, there's a couple guys, but Kevin Kisner, 8,300, starting to putt a lot better, just playing better in general, closed really well at the PGA. This course is made for Kevin Kisner, and I kind of said this in one of my columns. It's like, if you went back a year ago to this time, Kevin Kisner would be like 10,500 in this field, and his betting odds would be like 25 to 1. So now we're at the same event where he's like top 10 back in 2004 when he wasn't as good, really, a player, and you're getting him at 8,300, and I just think this course sets up great for him. I mean, I think par 4 scoring, he still ranks high in par 4, like birdies are better. I'm not sure what he's, where he's looking at, what he's looking at, like, for you guys, but I definitely like him at this course. I like him at these style of courses.
If you didn't bring him up, I was about to tell you how I'm really excited about getting a sneaky play in on Kisner. I was literally when you were done talking, had you not mentioned it, it was the next thing I was going to say. I have it highlighted right now. He's ranked 20th. I saw it right after the Henley comment. I was like, oh, look at this. This is interesting. Yeah, 5 or 6 cuts, 25th in recent form. The key stats are 56, so kind of just average or above average. But yeah, 12th in course history. He's played well here. He's got a top 10 in 2014. Bermuda is where he prefers.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, that's a big thing with him too. Yeah, like Bermuda grass is where you want to take Kevin Kisner.
He's ranked 30th in the world. Kind of go back to that argument about if you field like this, you take guys that are top 20, top 30 in the world, and all of a sudden they're really studs. So that's the argument I'd make. I mean, I could definitely get behind Kisner. He's probably a guy. I don't know how many lineups I'm going to be doing, but I would have a significant amount of ownership on Kisner.
Yeah, I mean, definitely good. We're on the same page there. Like I said, I just like there's 3 or 4 courses where guys like Kisner really just sort of pop up, and this is definitely one of them. The RBC heritage, but for me, getting him possibly on the rise back into good form at a reduced price, this is kind of like a real opportunity, and hopefully he performs. But either way, definitely a play I want to get on. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna, while we're talking, I'm gonna look up some of his betting numbers, see what he's looking at.
Yeah, for sure. Because the other guy I'm kind of interested here in this range is Jason Duffner. I mean, won his only major championship at Oak Hill, again, the Donald Ross design. He's got a top 10 at this event. I believe it is from not too long ago, 2012. So he's made his last 2 cuts at this event. Again, I mean, with Duffner, it really comes down to if he's hitting, within 10 feet of the flag all week, he can contend. If he's got a putt and rely on his putter a little bit more, he's probably not going to. But just at 7,900, I think he makes for a great play. I don't generally love paying up for Jason Duffner because, again, the putter can just give him so many issues. But I think on this course, I really like him at 7,900. I mean, I guess another guy I want to kind of pound this week. So not sure how you feel about Duffner, but in that range, those 2 guys just super stick out to me.
Yeah, I mean, Duffner we have ranked 9th. So
yeah.
5 straight cuts, 7th in recent form, decent course history, key stats are decent, and the price is really what's kind of sticking out to me. We've been a pretty strong proponent of Duffner all year. He's been up there in the top, say, 15 to 20 of our rankings pretty much every event he's played in. So I can definitely get behind Duffner. I mean, like we're saying, it's more of an accuracy approach shot person type of course. He definitely fits the bill there.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys you definitely bring up Jason Duffner every week. So I thought I'd finally advocate for him because I think this is an interesting spot for him. I think he's played a little bit better than people realize too. I mean, I think people, they see Duffner and they're like, oh yeah, he makes the cut, but he finishes like 30th or 50th. Well, he was 6th at the Colonial. He's T8 at the U.S. Open, which wasn't that long ago, and he actually played really well at the Open. Not that great at the PGA, but he still shot 4 rounds, like really not that poorly. So he's probably in better form, I think, than people realize. It's another guy who he's here because he wants to be on the Ryder Cup team for sure. So he doesn't need the money or anything. He's in the playoffs easily. So he's playing this week probably for a little Ryder Cup action. So don't be shocked if he shows up. But definitely a player I like. I think he's really, really good value. Anyone else in that range of just sneaky plays that we should mention? I mean, Robert Garrigus is kind of interesting. I know he ranks first in one of the key proximity stats for you guys. I know from 150 to 175 yards was kind of like the big range this week. And Garrigus is first in that range, so I mean that's kind of interesting, I guess. I'm not going to be on him this week. I don't like the fact that the greens are a little trickier. Garrigus just is not a good putter, but is there anyone else that sticks out to you in that range?
Yeah, I mean, just the thing about Garrigus is he's still there in terms of birdie or better R data. He's birdie 8.1% more than the fields around him. And yeah, 150 to 175, he is, let's see, he's 14th. He's hitting it 4.5 feet closer than most people from 150 to 175, and it's in a pretty good sample size, 7 events. In that range, other guys that are popping up. So I mean, we have Keegan Bradley up there at 8,200. That's probably the highest we've had him ranked all year, to be honest. As for that, I mean, Streb obviously disappointed me last week, but we have him ranked about 27th or 28th this week. Everyone else is generally above 9 or below 7 that I'm willing to talk about in the top 30 for us that we haven't discussed. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a couple that's we're gonna scoot past that 7,000. I mean, what do you feel about Cabrera Bello? You didn't talk about him, and we have him up there. We have him ranked 10th at 8,900. I think he's gonna be popular this week. I've heard a lot of chatter about him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, you can't hate on Cabrera Bello with how well he's played this year. I'm always a little skeptical of these of the European guys coming over and then playing like the PGA courses. Now, Cabrera Bello's done it more than a lot of the players this year, so I'm definitely won't look past him. And the only reason I didn't even really bring him up is because that range is just, you have Brian, Niall, Henley, and Cabrera Bello. There, I mean, you kind of have to decide, are you going to roster Henley or Cabrera Bello? I guess you could kind of go either way for GPPs. I don't know how popular he's going to be. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, he's in a popular range, but his price is really attractive, so maybe he will be popular. I'm not sure if I'm going to use him at all, but just the form has just been great. So I mean, I definitely not a guy I'd get off or anything like that. I mean, he's just a great ball striker, smaller than normal greens. I mean, it's probably going to favor his style of game. So. Yeah. Like, I don't really have anything bad to say about him. I'd probably take him over McGirt. I'd probably take him over Tyrell Hatton. I'd probably take him over Scott Piercy, and definitely over Keegan Bradley. So, I mean, definitely, like, one of the players I'm looking at in that range just might not be the top guy, I guess, for me personally.
No, of course. And I just looked at the chat. I see a lot of people asking about JB Holmes this week. In terms of the number, I mean, data-wise, we have him down there pretty far. I mean, not even so much of a form thing, which I know people will note, but we have him ranked 138 in key stats. It's pretty low for a guy that's ranked 21st in the world. So, I saw a lot of people on Twitter today kind of asking about him. We got a question in the chat about him, so I figured we could bring him up because he's a popular guy. But there's nothing that I can really get behind from what we look at that says, let's go with JB. But that's kind of the thing. I feel like when you have someone, golf's funny. He's ranked 21st in the world for a reason in a weak field. I'm not going to be surprised. It's not one of the things where I'm going to say there's no chance he plays well because he is an elite player relative to the field. But it just doesn't seem to be the fit for him. I mean, even the course history, he's only played her once. He missed the cut, so it's not like there's a track record that kind of shows otherwise for the stats.
Yeah. I mean, I tried the JB Holmes thing at the Travelers. I thought he was an interesting play there. I thought that some of that recent form would rub off. He completely bombed out. Look, I mean, he could definitely pop back up. He's just been so hard to put down this year. Like he's either started horribly or he's like played insanely well in a major and then played insanely poorly the next week. I honestly don't know what he's going to do. I want no part of it, but at the same time, it's like you said, the guy's a top 30 player in the world or whatever, right? I mean, he could definitely show up. So just realize what you're getting into because, form-wise, he doesn't really look like he fits this course, doesn't have course history. So, you're taking a chance, but I guess the benefit is you're probably going to get him at like 5% or less, maybe. So, maybe some people are out there touting him more than I think. So I don't know, but my impression would be you'll get him at a low ownership, I guess.
A guy that's interesting to me, and just because I didn't want to forget about him, is Cameron Smith. And not because he's peaking or anything, but he has played well the last two events. He's got a 34th and a 22nd. And he is like right on. He's like 4 or 5 guys behind the edge for 125th. Right. So, he's one of those guys where, like, you've seen him play well before. He actually has played decent the last couple times out. There's a lot of motivation. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes out and gets another top 20 and tries to squeeze his way into the top 125. I'm looking at a couple guys like that this week.
There are a few guys down there that maybe we should just kind of switch over to these lower guys who were kind of in good spots. And, yeah, Cameron Smith, I mean, people kind of forget how good a young player he was last year. He was like T3 at the U.S. Open. Yeah. He can definitely play a bit. And, yeah, he's finally picked up his game a little bit. I think this course is interesting for him, too. He's not huge off the tee or anything, but he's not going to be disadvantaged this week. So definitely a guy I have my eye on. I'll probably throw him in a couple lineups. I think there's a few other players who are really discounted. The other guy is Matt Jones. I think he's right on the bubble. I think he's 124 or something. So he's made like 6 straight cuts now. I mean, he's playing better. I mean, he played well at the John Deere. He's got a 5th place finish at this event from a few years back. I think 6,300, you're getting a really good play, like bargain with him. I think he's probably going to come in with a strong week. And oh yeah, and then there's my guy Blaine Barber down at 5,600. I think he's ranked 120th. He's made 5 straight cuts. He plays a lot better on Bermuda grass too, Blaine Barber. Here's Blaine Barber's in a nutshell. He's got 5 top 10s on tour. 4 of them have come on Bermuda. So and now he's playing consistently. I really like him at 5,600. Like if I'm using a guy under 6K, that's probably the guy I'm going to target, or one of the main guys I'll target. So there's a few guys, just throw it out there quickly, who are kind of on the bubble who we like, I think.
Yeah, I think Blaine I can definitely get behind. I'm going to bring up our putting splits to see what the other numbers are on him, but I'm still on Prue. I mean, he came out strong and then kind of faded, but he made another cut at a 5,900. I could go 5,900, 5,600 with Prue and Barber, and then you got a ton of room to do whatever you want the rest of the way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that it's strange because I like the guys at the bottom of the field. Like, I think there's a lot of plays. I'm just not sure if I want to stack, like, Ricky and Patrick Reed this week. So it's kind of strange. Like, I almost want to go a little bit more balanced. But there are some players down there at 6K. And like, Roberto Castro's another one. Even Harold Varner III. He's from this area. Like, he's from the Carolinas. Played well here a few years back. Plays well off the tee. Probably going to be able to keep in the fairways long. 5,900, I mean, definitely giving him a shot in a GPP is not a bad idea.
I got some talking about the chat here. They're talking about Wee Kim, and I've seen a lot of love for him today. I don't see it personally. Maybe we can look at the last couple outings. 5,700.
Yeah, I mean, what is he? 50? Yeah, he's 5,700. I mean, Wee Kim, you're kind of playing the motivation factor, like.
He's kind of on the bubble as well, right?
I think Wee Kim is actually the bubble boy right now. I think he's 126 or 125. So, I mean, again, I think it's actually okay to use guys like that this week because they should be really motivated and focused. And I mean, I know that's just kind of sounds like narrative street, but I mean, it's a big thing in golf. I mean, it's easy to just go to tournament to tournament and say like, what am I doing? And guys are practicing rather than playing, but. I mean, this week, this is it. I mean, this is it for a lot of these guys. This is their livelihood here at stake. So this is basically the Masters for weekend this week. I know it sounds weird, but it is. So, I mean, I don't hate using a lot of these guys. Like, I think Wee Kim, I think even a guy like Alex Prue. I mean, we always see it at this event, too. I mean, it always comes, some of these guys just have huge weeks. I remember 2 years ago, Heath Slocum, I don't know if you remember this, but Heath Slocum was in the top 125. He came to the 18th tee. He needed a birdie. What the hell did he do? Oh yeah, and then he went for the green. He hit the green in 2, and he blew his eagle putt like 10 feet past the hole. Like he had like a 20-foot eagle putt. Yeah. And he was in contention for the win too, and he blew it like 20 feet past the hole or 10 feet past the hole. Then he missed the comebacker, and he finished like 127. And if he just saddled it up there, he would have finished like 124th or something. So, anyways, I just thought I'd throw that out there because I remember that.
That's going to happen this week. And this is probably, we talked about it on Twitter today. One of the guys that asked about it. There's about 10 guys that are top 10 away from being in there. So that's a significant number to me. I mean, it's a good amount of the field. Just real quick, I brought up the putting splits for Blaine Barber, and
okay.
Let's see. He's averaging 34 grand in event on Bermuda and 18 on Bentgrass. He's averaging just over 10 finishing position, spots better, 4 DraftKings points, 2.2 points against the field, 5% top 25, 8% more cuts. The strokes gained putting is .681 more, so it's almost a whole stroke.
Yeah.
Everything you're saying there is pretty spot on.
Okay. Good to know, because I mean he played well last week. His putter kind of deserted him, so I guess I know why. I probably should have researched him a little bit more for last week, but yeah, interesting play at 5,600. No one's going to be on him. I mean, But a guy who's like I said, made 5 straight cuts now. So got a few. Yeah, I mean, Keegan Bradley just kind of popped up again. I mean, he has been playing better. I mean, I kind of put him in the Webb Simpson range. I won't bet Keegan Bradley, but at 8,200, consistency-wise and stuff like that, I mean, I think he makes sense. I think he's not even that bad value at 8,200. So, yeah, DFS-wise, I could get behind him. Hard for me to roster him over Kisner, but like if you want to pair him with Kisner, I think that makes sense.
I mean, what's crazy is that this is the 1 week I feel like I'm not anchored to the $50,000 mark in DFS. I struggle.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Like I struggle with, and Bobby's really good with this and the game theory and that kind of stuff. I struggle with like, well, if I got this much left, I got to spend close to this much left.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at some of the prices. I'm like, I could pull out a roster and maybe have like $5,000 left. It's almost feels,
completely.
It's one of those weeks where a couple different reasons. But yeah, you look at guys like Bradley, Duffner, Kisner. Then you talk about a couple of $5,000 guys, and now you got one spot left, and you have $15,000, $16,000.
I screwed myself so bad at the Travelers because I had all this money left over for my top GPP lineup, and I just couldn't help myself. Like I literally could not, because Russell Henley was 6,400, and I had him in there, and I just couldn't help myself. I was like, well, I can just still bump it up like by 1K, and I'll still have like 500 left. And then so I took him out. I think I put like Brian Harman in, and Brian Harman missed the cut, and Russell Henley was like T9. So, anyways, you just really shouldn't even look at how much money you have left because there's pricing errors and discrepancies each week, and sometimes you might be getting a guy, you might be making a lineup with like 2,000 left, but I mean, because you're just identifying good value plays, it's just you doing good work, and you're just taking advantage of the mistakes. So I don't know. Yeah, I definitely struggle with that. It's my OCD, Steve. So, but.
Yeah, it's definitely something.
And this week, especially. I mean, I think it's a great point. I mean, I think there's question marks with all 3 of the top players, and I like we kind of mentioned. There's just so many good value plays in the 9 and 8K range with just as much potential. So.
Yeah, I don't have the. I only have to win on my book right now, so I still don't have the top 10, 15 numbers. I don't know what we do.
Oh, okay, yeah. Are you looking for?
Kisner was 40-1 on our book, which is actually a lot better than I would have liked him to be.
I mean, he opened at like 55-1 on a lot of places. He's probably been bet down, to be honest, because like I thought that was way too big a number for him, so I bet him right away. I think the top 10 he might have opened at 7 or 8-1. That might even be down to like 6-1. So he's definitely looking like an interesting play this week. Just for that purpose and betting wise too. I mean, I would bet him at 40-1 still. I mean, I really would. So if he's gone down or that's what you're being offered, I don't think it's a bad bet.
Yeah, I feel like it's more accurate than it is value.
Yeah.
50 to 60, I'd say.
Well, I mean, like I said, at this event last year, Kisner was probably 30-1.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's probably 30-1. So.
What are your thoughts on Freddie Jakobsen? I mentioned him earlier just because he's number 1 in course history for us, and that's across 3 events. He's actually played better recently. I mean, he's made 3 or 4 cuts. He hasn't been playing well, since that early part of the year, which is the only time he normally plays consistently well. But it seems to be this course that works well for him. I don't know. Let's look at what he's done in the last couple of events. I mean, he missed at Travelers, barely made PGA, and had a decent FedEx St. Jude's. He hasn't been playing well outside of 1 event in the last 3 months. So I can't do that. But when I see a random guy like that have such success at a course, I gotta at least look into him a little further and see what it is. He's looking.
I mean, does he have better Bermuda stats or anything like that? I mean, I haven't looked into him much at all, but it's definitely kind of interesting because I did notice his course history this week. It's really good. So
17, 12 from the second, so it's like.
Yeah.
Let me see. I have this flipped open still, so I'm going to focus. check it out. Let's see. I mean, nah. It's actually it's about as identical as I've seen looking at someone between Bent and they're pretty similar. So there's no disparity there.
I mean, it could just be the greens. He just might handle the greens. He's such a good putter that these greens are supposedly a little bit tricky, a little bit faster. He just might handle them better, and he just gains more on the field or something like that with his putter, which is his best club. So it could be something as simple as that. It could just be he just likes this place. But I definitely don't hate him. I mean, look, it's kind of like last week. You're going to need guys who can sink putts. So. Taking a good putter like Fredrik Jakobsen, just hoping he can hit the fairways. I mean, that's basically what Ben Martin did last week. I mean, he straightened his driver out a bit, and then he got hot with his putter. I mean, he sunk a lot of putts. So same kind of deal. I mean, Jakobsen can definitely do the same. So there's actually we should talk about Bud Cauley for a sec too, because that's another guy I don't hate in that range that I really kind of do like. Just talent-wise, I mean, I think at 7K he's playing better. Definitely has a bit of course history or two. I want to say he was third here one year. Yes.
He's another guy on the bubble, I believe.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about Bud Cauley. I think he's like 135 or 140. So he had injury issues at the start of the year and through the year, but he's got a third from back in 2012. Played well last week, so I mean, he needs a big week. I mean, like he might need to finish third here this week or something. So 7K though, I can definitely get behind him. I'm not sure what his like DK points have, but I want to say he's put up some big weeks. I mean, over 100 points last week, 80 points at the Barbasol, so 87 at the Memorial. So it looks like he's put up some pretty decent numbers. I think in this field he's a good target though.
I'm looking at the these points. Even in his missed cuts, I mean, other than the FedEx, what's he miss at? Or no, he didn't miss at Travelers. He finished 70th.
70th, yeah.
Yeah, so he really only missed that FedEx. Okay, yeah, so. Yeah, last week obviously a strong outing.
Yeah, he played well last week. He played really well. But definitely someone I'm kind of on. I mean, Streb is interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Robert Streb does this week because, man, like he played awful at the John Deere. Like, I mean, +7 at the John Deere is like
so bad.
It's like me shooting 120 or something. Like,
right when I come out and say like, Streb is interesting. Yeah, like screw me, right?
Well, he was one of the players. Yeah, there's a handful of players like that. Like Levine missed the cut. I mean, I was big on Spencer Levine. Brian Harman missed the cut. I think Brian Harman's a good bounce back candidate for this week too. I mean, 6,300.
I feel bad.
The last two events, he's really, really screwed me still. But I got to stick with him on these style of courses. I mean, he's a really good putter. His only win on tour came after 2 missed cuts. He finished third at the Travelers last year after 2 missed cuts. So. He's a guy who bounces back really quickly. I guess that's all I'll say. If people are going to play Morgan Hoffman, I would probably go with Harman over Hoffman. But
I feel bad. So Wednesday last week, 10:30, I get a message from some guy on Twitter. He goes, what do you got? 3 or 4 guys for me to get started. And I'm like, all right, let's go with Streb, Stroud, Levine, and Prue. So I haven't heard from him. So
yeah. You're blocked. But no, I mean, I told a lot of people to play Spence. I think Spencer Levine was on a lot of people's radars. I mean, I don't think people needed me to tell them to play Spencer Levine. He looks like a solid play, but yeah, he just started off poor. And but there was, like I said, I mean, it wasn't just 1 or 2 players. There was a lot of guys who I think they kind of got hampered by the rain, and some of them stopped and just didn't do them out a bit. But yeah, it's I still think Harman's an interesting bounce back candidate. On this course, so T3 obviously from 2013, but don't be shocked. I mean, GPP only, but 6,300 for Brian Harman on this course. That's something to take advantage of.
Yeah, and then as for low-end chalk, I saw some people talking about him. Henrik Norlander at 6,600. He's our highest ranked guy under 7,000. I feel like I always highlight that each week. We've had a pretty strong track record of our highest ranked guy under 7,000 performing well. He's 13th in recent form, 8th in key stats, 26th in course history, averaging 18.39 points more than someone at that price. I feel like he's going to be one of the higher owned guys in this price range. I feel like he's kind of obvious, but do you have any thoughts on him?
I mean, he is. I still don't think he's going to be like super highly owned. Like, I wouldn't fade him or anything.
Oh no! But I just think he's not going to be like 1 or 2%. He's probably going to be like I'm thinking maybe in the 6 to 9% range.
What is his? Do you know what his FedEx Cup ranking is? I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, bring it up. Probably get that fast.
No, I mean, I pointed Norlander out at like 5 or 6 weeks ago that he was starting to make a few cuts. I didn't actually realize he's made like 8 cuts now in a row. So he always seems to be around, and then he always seems to be just make the cut line and then finish okay. Oh wow, he's 163rd, eh? So he's got ways to go.
He's gonna need like a top 5.
That's interesting. I mean, that's another guy you could really get on this week. I feel like who should look up his top 20 odds or something. Yeah.
Back-to-back top 30s, 8 straight cuts. Well, I'm showing 6, but if you said 8, I'm sure it's 2 more even. Yeah, definitely top 5 probably gets him in there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's kind of like Blaine Harper. He's trending towards this top 10 maybe.
How many points does he have?
Let's see. He has 273 points.
He's gonna need a top 3.
A top 3, yeah. I didn't think he was that far back. 163, yeah. He needs like a big week because it takes a lot to jump like 30 spots. So.
You need 200 points, and that's top 3.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. So Henrik Norlander, if he finishes top 3.
Yeah. I think right now 440 is in, or 440 something. So I think 450 to 460 will probably make it. So he needs 200 points. That's top 3.
Kelly Kraft is actually another guy in a similar position.
Yeah.
P5 last week. What's his rank? He finished 5th though, so he's probably a little higher up. What is his rank? Kelly Kraft. Oh yeah, Kelly Kraft is 164. So I mean, he's in a similar position. But yeah, so interesting. Both those guys probably won't make it, but
yeah. Let's
be realistic.
I don't know. I should have put it out this week because we do track them. We just never find it. There's no need for FedEx Cup points. We have that in the data, so I should have put that out this week just so people could see where the rank was. But
yeah,
it's definitely it's just interesting when you have another piece to the puzzle, and that's kind of what you have this week. So.
Yeah, it's definitely, it doesn't hurt to take a look. I mean, obviously there's a lot of guys in the field who need points, but yeah, definitely like some players who've been playing better of late who I feel like could kind of pop up there. Scott Stallings is on the bubble too. That's another guy. He played well last week, so.
He was a guy I didn't really get to talk about much. I don't think I mentioned him I think I mentioned him in the Periscope the next night after I kind of came across him. He was definitely interesting. He played well. I wouldn't surprise me if he plays well again this week.
Yeah.
Oppenheim, I want to say, is a guy that's close to the bubble, or I'm not sure. I mean, he had a pretty strong stretch, like in the middle of the year. But
I think he's only had like one top 10 though, so he's probably hurting too for points. He's probably really close.
I'm trying to look at some of these really low-priced guys and see if anyone's trending. Good.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's all about whether they get the like a top 3 at some point in the year, because that's where they get all their money.
Yeah.
And their points. So.
Derek Ernst, back to back, 38, 34. Trying to see if how many other people that have really.
I might throw Derek Ernst in the lineup this week. Like he's made a couple cuts at this event, and he seems to play well in Carolina. Like I don't know. I hate Derek Ernst, but I might just play him in like one lineup this week. He's only 5,400, so that'd be the main reason. But
I mean, you got Stuart Appleby quietly making 4 straight cuts.
Yeah, that's true. He's on the bubble. He's like 130th or 135th or something like that. So.
You know, I'm right below him, and I'm looking on our event by event page, and I look right below, and I'm like, oh man, who's priced this low that has made all these freaking cuts in a row? Oh, it's Blaine Barber. So
yeah,
he's right next to him, right there in price. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can finish off by talking about a few bets or guys you're gonna be on.
I'm gonna bring that site up. Again, I use 5 dimes, but they don't put out the top 10s and stuff till the next day.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you can pretty much tell where they're going to be based on their price to win. So
yeah, exactly.
The Allenby situation. Yeah, I will share on the Allenby situation. I didn't tweet about it. I think I was going to, and then I just forgot. Because, you know, it's not that big a deal. But you know, I'm always a little more maybe on the naive side where I give guys the benefit of the doubt. So when that happened out in Hawaii, I was like, poor guy, like, you know. And now it's like, all right, come on, dude. Like, now you got nothing. You know, I don't even know what to tell you. You're not playing well, and you're being an asshole. So that's kind of all I got for that.
Yeah, he's apparently just a huge dick. I mean, from what I've heard from just ramblings and like a few tweets here and there, he's just a complete a-hole. So I wasn't shocked to hear that story about the casino. I mean, we'll probably be hearing about him declaring bankruptcy soon because he hasn't been making any cuts. So
yeah.
But actually, he does have a lot of career earnings though. Like Robert Allenby used to be like a consistent top 10 player. He top 10 like every week it felt like. But he's nowhere near his former glory. So.
Yeah, I mean I'm trying to think who's it. Appleby is what I was thinking for something else. No.
Yeah, Appleby is always on Twitter like, don't confuse me for Robert Allenby.
Blaine Barber 300 to 1. Saying.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm gonna have some exposure. I'll have a little each way. I mean I'm gonna bet him top 20 because I feel like this is a really good setup for him. Like I said, and the thing I like about Barber is that he's got 5 top 10s over the last 2 years, so he can finish higher up in these fields. And then there'll be Bermuda Greens. So I mean, if you can get him at 7 or 8 to 1 on top 20, I think that's a decent bet. And then top 10, you can probably get him like 16, 18 to 1 or something somewhere. So maybe even higher. But I like that bet. I mean, you can sprinkle a little bit on him at longer odds. He's a quality player. I mean, he won on the Web.com tour. He came close to winning a couple times. So you can definitely get it done if the putter heats up. I'm going to have some money on Bud Cauley. I think I found him at like 100 to 1 or a little bit better. I can't remember, but I definitely like him. I don't hate him at all. I talked about Kisner. Someone else with longer odds I like. Oh yeah, Roberto Castro is another guy. I'm gonna sort of go on again.
We got him 190 to 1. I see here.
Yeah, I mean longer odds. Look, I mean I've talked about him how he's talented enough to win. He's 12th at Oak Hill on a Donald Ross design. It really just comes down to can he have a good enough week with the putter, because when he does, that's when he finishes high up. So I just think at those odds, in a field like this, I think Roberto Castro is definitely worth a shot. I think this is his style of course. He's played well in Wells Fargo, which is in Carolina too. So I don't hate him at longer odds if you're looking at longer odds guys. And then Jason Duffner is the other guy, like a little bit higher, but if you get like 60 or 50 to 1, I think he's got a shot to have a big week. So those are my main bets. I'll probably throw some money on Henley too, just because if he wins after what he did to me at the Travelers, I'll be crying for a week or so. But I do think this is a good setup for Henley, so I'll probably have a little bit of money on him.
Yeah, you know, one thing I'm kind of intrigued by. I mean, I remember back when they would do golf betting. And you know they'd have like the top like 30 people in the field, and
yeah.
When you look at a field like this, I'm looking at the bottom. I mean, there's 12 people at 1,000 to 1. I mean, the bottom 30 people are like 700 to 1.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw $1 on these 30 people.
Oh, completely.
In a field like this, I mean, you know, don't let me bet $1. I mean, yeah. I mean, do I think Arjun Atwal's going to win? But no. But for $1 to win 1,000, like
Arjun Atwal did win this event though.
Exactly.
He won this event in like 2010. So I mean,
like, you know, I mean, for 1,000 to 1, I mean, Eric Compton.
Yeah.
some of these got Ken.
I think
Duke,
Eric Coffin's gonna win an event he's got to win one week. He's a guy who I sometimes always throw a couple dollars on. I just think 1 week he's gonna like put it together. It's gonna be the amazing story. The guy with like the heart transplant. I love Eric Coffin. He's like, man, like I can't even imagine going through what he's gone through, like the heart transplants and shit. Like it's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, look at some of the guys who won this year. I mean, James Hahn was like 700 to 1 when he won. Brian Stewart, Jim Herman, when he won was probably like 400 or 500 to 1. Like it's definitely it's not that big a difference with the PGA Tour, and this is what I think most people don't understand is between the bottom guys and the top guys, it's just not that big a difference. It's just that the top guys do it more consistently, and but winning is tough. Like and anyone can really win at this event.
Yeah, I mean, I just posted like 50, it's like 50 or 60 people at 500 to 1 or worse. I'm like,
yeah,
for $50, I can just take half the field for a $5.
Totally, yeah.
It's like, I think I'm gonna have to do that this week. I don't understand why. I mean, I've never seen this long odds.
It's probably, and I think it's probably got something to do with like the fact that there's a lot of top players here this week. So like Patrick Reed, Fowler, they all sort of pushed the odds of the other players down. So you probably didn't see as many players with that odds last week, but now there's a few more top players. Everyone else's odds get pushed down a bit. So yeah, I mean it's like I said. I mean Jim Herman won in a good field. James Hahn won in a really good field. Like anything can happen. Like it's strange. But yeah, betting is funny. I always find a couple guys like that. Like
what do you got at?
50 to 1. I haven't really seen him better than that, unfortunately. But I'll probably still throw a few coins at him at 50 to 1. Like he has been playing better, so I don't love the price because I really like. I had a big bet on him when he was like 100 to 1 at the Travelers. So just because I thought those odds were really good, but I'll definitely stub a little bit of coin on him just because I do think this sets up well for him, and I think he's a guy who could just bounce right back. He really threw that tournament away. Like he really did. He was in the lead, coming up with the 2 easiest holes to go. If he just goes 1 under the rest of the way, I think he wins outright. Even if he just plays even, he gets into a playoff. And yeah, hit it into the water on the drivable par 4, 4-putted. Anyways, fuck him.
Oh man, I mean, you know what? I'm feeling hasn't been killing it, but Horschel 80 to 1. That's pretty long odds for a guy that I think but he's.
Yeah, someone else was. I think it was Mayo. Pat Mayo was talking about Billy Horschel this week too. His odds seem really long. It's like 90 to 1 or something. Like he's been in the 30s at points this year. So.
Him and Danny Lee are both 80 to 1.
Yeah, I think I always like betting Danny Lee, but I might even get on Horschel this week over Lee. I don't know.
I'll have to make some more decisions when we get to the top.
Danny Lee's a guy I definitely can get behind. I like Danny Lee. He can definitely win here.
All right. Yeah, it's like everyone's either 40 to 1 or 300 to 1, so it's not too much interesting in there.
Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of guys in the 100 to 200 range. I think you could get behind with, and have decent chances here. I mean, like I said, I'm going to throw a few on Blaine Barber, but I think I found Brian Harman at 125 to 1 this week. I'm going to throw a few on him. Like I said, the guy just bounces back usually after bad performances. Matt Jones, I kind of already mentioned, but there's a few other players like that in those ranges where you can get great odds on this week. So I'm not going to go heavy on any of the top guys, but there's a lot of guys with good odds this week to me. It's a good event to bet.
Feels like the kind of event Scott Piercy could win, even though I'm not saying we're on him, but I don't know. It's just something. 17 under, like you said, sounds about right for him 1 week.
Yeah, no, for sure, it does. Like this is the type of event Scott Piercy usually wins. Like he won like the Barbasol last year, the Wyndham this year. It kind of makes sense. He'll probably win. No one will use him. Probably like 3% owned in DFS too.
Yeah, 8,500. Yeah, that's my closing thought. Scott Piercy should get a win.
I like it. All right.
So,
I guess no more questions. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Have a good week, guys. Like I always say at the closing, find me on Twitter at the Fantasy Grind. Throw out any questions during the week. I always try and answer them as best as I can. Try not to recommend any Spencer Levines this week. You can find Steve at FG Metrics on Twitter, fantasygolfmetrics.com. Check out his website; it's awesome. And have a good week, and we will talk to you again next time.
Take it easy, guys.